Welcome to this presentation of CLASS, the world's leading administration software system for language schools. The module that will be covered today is CLASS's only compulsory one, the core. The core module is required by all schools as it allows you to add and manage students, agents and accommodation providers. You can create your price lists in this module, class your new students, create a huge host of documents and run a variety of reports, all of which will be covered in this demonstration. By clicking on this student icon on the top left-hand corner, you'll access all the current students on your system. This information can be exported to Excel if needs be, and throughout CLASS you will see many of examples of where information can be exported in this way as well as to Word. You can search for a particular student by any of these headings along the top here. So for example, if you can't quite remember a student's full surname, just entering a few letters in this field here and clicking on Find will help CLASS to find that student for you. Students can be entered in the form of inquiries, which are highlighted in blue and are then later converted into actual bookings. But today I'll be adding a brand new student. First of all, you'll come to this general screen where you can enter such information as the name of your student, their gender, their country of origin, and in this case Gerald is going to come from Japan, and also their date of birth, which you can enter using either this calendar pick option, or you can also free type if you prefer. This, if I tab across, then automatically calculates the student's age as at today's date. So this time next year, this student will be 20 years old, as CLASS is looking at the date of your computer in order to calculate this information. Anywhere other than next to a date field, wherever you see this box with 3 dots next to a field, this means that you can choose from a pick list that you have set up in the system settings. This is simple and very easy to do and totally amendable should circumstances change. For example, if you're not accepting students who are office workers, then you simply remove this field from the system settings, and the next time you come into it, it won't be available for selection. In the middle here, you can enter address details, which I won't do now, as well as the email address of your student, which means you can email documents to your student directly from CLASS for free, such as confirmations, mail shots and invoices. Telephone, fax and mobile phone numbers are always handy as well, especially if you want to be able to send SMS text messages to not just your students, but also agents, host families and teachers as well. Unlike emails, the texts are chargeable and you purchase credits directly from CLASS using a pay-as-you-go system. So if you're interested in this at all, please do ask us for further information about that. The inquiry source is a box that you can use to record how a potential or existing student heard about your school. For example, were they handed a flyer or did they see a magazine advert? This is a very useful tool in order to generate conversion statistics within CLASS. So for example, if you wanted to know how many students did pick up a flyer or saw a magazine advert, and therefore you can then gauge as to whether you might be over or underspending on your flyers or adverts, then this is the field for you. The inquiry channel directly underneath it more specifically tells you how that student then contacted your school. Now you will find many fields within CLASS that you may never feel the need to use, in which case you quite simply ignore them. But because all language schools are unique and have their own ways of operating, there will occasionally be a time where you'll want to record information for which there does not currently exist a field within CLASS. This is when these analysis fields come into play. These can be found throughout CLASS and you have 6 alphabetical, 2 numerical and 2 date fields that you simply rename to suit your needs. Like most other fields in class, these can be included in any reports you wish to run. And if you need to add much more information than just a few words, so whole paragraphs of text for example, then the Notes tab is a good place to use. And again, these names can be totally amended by yourself. Under this Enrolments and Passport tab, this is where you can enter the student's passport information. So the number, the expiration date, and this time I'm going to free type rather than use the calendar box. And by ticking this box at the bottom here, you are then telling class that you've taken a photocopy of this student's passport, which is then stored in their documents folder here to the right of the screen. The passport country, country of birth and nationality has fed in from the information I have entered in the previous general screen. This box here is where the student's enrolments are held. As Gerald is a first-time student, we'll be adding his first enrolment, but if this student was coming back for a third year, you'd see 2 enrolments here already, and you'd now be adding a third. So I'm now going to click on Add, and we're going to move away from the student information and into their actual enrolment. So now we find ourselves in Gerald's enrolment as opposed to his personal details screen. Gerald can either be booked or provisional at this stage, and if provisional, you can even track his admission status here. But in this case, we're going to assume that he is already booked. The arrival date can be chosen in this box below. We're going to say that Gerald is coming to the school on Saturday, the 6th of September. And then you can use these weeks and days up and down buttons to determine how long he would wish to stay at your school. So in this case, for 4 weeks, and this has automatically calculated the departure date for you below. If you have multiple schools, you can select which school from here. And then underneath that, this is where you can tell class whether this student is a direct booking or an agent booking. And in this case, it's going to be an agent booking from AA Japan. You can have a pop-up note appear when you enter a particular agent as a reminder to yourself. So in this case, it's telling you, remember to email the invoice directly to Jane as well as to the general office email address. This feature is available throughout class, and once the note is no longer relevant, you simply turn it off. At the bottom, just to remind you, you have more analysis fields. This time they will be relevant to the enrolment. The Bookings tab is where you tell class exactly what your student wants to book. So the course, accommodation, transfer and sundry items. Before you add any of these items, you will of course need to set up your price lists, which you do here under the maintenance and settings. You can have different price lists for different schools. So for example, you can have a master price list, and you can also have a separate price list for South American students, for example. If we look at the master price list and under tuition, we can use General English 25 lessons as an example. If I go into that, within this screen, you set up in the middle your pricing rules, which includes the assigning of any nominal codes, age ranges for this course, and then the annual prices. You can have a weekly increasing price, or you can also add price breaks. So for the first 5 weeks, this course is going to cost £70. From week 5 onwards, it's going to decrease to £65 a week. And from week 10 onwards, down to £63 per week. Still within your price item, under web, You can also web enable your price items to make them available online, and this is to be used in conjunction with our class online toolkit, which will be covered in a separate demonstration. Coming out of your price item and going back into the course, I'm going to click on this course button. The from and to dates will default to the Monday after the student is due to arrive until the Friday before he's due to leave. You can choose your price item from the list, and any extras that you have set up, for example, a registration fee and a promotion, will be automatically added, and they can easily be cancelled if needs be. So if I don't want the registration fee to apply, I can cancel this item. Because I've also set up classes against this particular course, they have appeared on this list here. For the course, as well as any other booking items, you can add multiple items. So for example, 3 courses, 2 accommodations, 4 sundry items, and so on. Now when it comes to adding the accommodation, the from and to dates default to the actual dates that the student is due to arrive. So once again, you choose your price item that you've already set up behind the scenes, in this case, homestay single, bed and breakfast. But you have a few more boxes in this screen that you do with the course, as you may wish to add private notes, special requests. So for example, this student would like a hot lunch every day. And then your include and exclude preferences, which is what the student does not want. So let's assume that this student would like a vegetarian diet, but he's allergic to cats and therefore he doesn't ideally want to stay with a family that has pet cats. By now clicking on this match button here, class will search through all the available families within the date range that you've provided that include a vegetarian diet and exclude cats. You'll be able to see all the families available, as well as which rooms they provide and whether they already have any students in any of their rooms. I'm going to pop this student, Gerald, in the single with a wash basin with the Aldenstern family. By clicking on select, that student is now booked with this family. If the student was to change their mind halfway during their stay and they want to move to another family, that can also be done via this screen, as class can handle multiple booking changes with ease. Transfers are similar. You choose your price item, so Heathrow to accommodation, but in this case, rather than the agent paying for the transfer, let's assume that the student is paying for this transfer. You're able to add some further information here, such as where the flight is coming from, its reference number, and the carrier, in this case British Airways. Sundry items will typically be excursions, insurance, and book fees. Basically all other things that are not covered under the course, accommodation, and transfers. Finally, holidays can be added for the student, as well as packages. Under this Visa tab, you can record your visa types, all applicable dates, CAS or CVAS statuses, and also view the passport details. Under the Finance tab, all the financial values for the booking items that you've just entered are automatically calculated for you based on your price lists and your agent rules. The total owed here is £600.80 for the agent and £100 for the student. You can make an amendment at this stage if you wish. So for example, if I go into this General English 25 lessons and click on Edit, I can increase the discount from £61.60 to £80. Click on OK, and as you can see, on the left-hand side, this lettering has changed to the colour red with an asterisk next to it. And this then shows anybody who comes into this screen that a change has been made. An audit log is kept for you to see who made the change, when that change was made, and what the old and new values are. And then at the bottom here, you have a box which you can use to explain perhaps why you have made a change. Under this invoicing tab, you can now see how much the agent and the student owe respectively. You can print or email multiple proformas and invoices, and split billing is also available between agent and student. Here, I'm going to print to screen a student confirmation and a booking confirmation. Now, as with all Word documents in class, whether they be invoices, letters or certificates, you will have your master templates which you create once to include your school name and your logo and a general preferred layout that you use. And every time you choose a particular document, class will merge the fields that you have chosen into the document and attach that document against the student, or perhaps the agent or the host family. Here we have our agent booking confirmation, which includes discounts and commissions. And here we have our student confirmation. So both of these documents will be sent to the agent. The agent will keep one and pass another on to the student. To give you another example of a document, I'm going to add what is called a confirmation to the host family documents. So if I click on Add, choose my master document, double click on the document, you can see how the accommodation information I previously entered for Gerald has been merged with this letter. You can at this point tailor the letter and when you close the letter, the tailored letter will be shown here, leaving your master documents unchanged for future use. The attendance, absence, progress and assessment fields allow you to record all of this information on behalf of a student or in batch, so for example, all students in a particular class or all students on a particular course and so on. And you'll be able to find a much more detailed presentation of this on our YouTube page entitled Advanced Academic. Having now covered students and enrolments, it's worth noting that you can also add groups. So this is a quick way of adding a lot of students who are on the same course or arriving on the same dates. So each student will still have an individual enrolment, but will fall under the umbrella of one group. So if I choose Brazil TICA's Summer Group, under the general screen, you will find the name of the group, the arrival and departure dates, the anticipated number of students, and the actual and the remainder are calculated as your students are added to the system. So currently there are 9 students in this group, and we can see them by clicking on this Students tab. Now, if another student were to be added, rather than create a whole enrolment from scratch, you would simply highlight an existing student in the group, click on Copy, tick the items that you would like to see replicated, and class will now copy this one student's enrolment entirely, so all of their booking items. All that remains for you to do is to amend the student's personal details. So for example, their name and date of birth and so on. You don't have to copy a student once, you can actually copy them multiple times, in this case 5, and then you would change those 5 copied details of the students. Once the bookings have been created, you can adjust each student's booking individually if they have different requirements. So for example, in Mr. Martin's case, he is the group leader and he may not necessarily require tuition. Similar to an individual enrolment, you can view as well as amend the finance and produce an invoice accordingly. Moving on to agents, this will be a list of all of your agents, and if I choose AA Japan, under the general screen you can enter the personal information of this agent, and on the right hand side you have this status box. Now, an agent is only active when they're used for actual enrolments. Any other status, such as prospective, suspended or inactive, can be entered here, but you don't need to worry that a registrar will pick a prospective, suspended or inactive agent, as class will not allow this. When it comes to agents and host families, class will only use active agents and host families. Multiple contact details for your agents can be entered here. And throughout class, for all individuals, as well as accommodation types, pictures can be assigned to the main agent or any contact, allowing you to bring them up on screen. Under the finance details and pricing, this is where you set up your agreed agent discounts and commissions. Items highlighted in blue indicate that they have been superseded by a new value. So in this case, you can see that the agent discount commission has increased annually from 18% in 2012 to 21% and then to 22%. A black tuition item specifies a different discount and commission percentage for individual courses. So in this case, for the Cambridge exam course, the agent will get 30%. A tuition group is where you can categorise similar courses. So if a school wanted to give the agent the same discount and commission for all ESP courses, they can be grouped together under this one heading rather than have to be changed individually. Promotions will show you whether an agent is entitled to any of the 3 promotions that can be created within class. They are value promotions, so for example £20 for all students booked in January, percentage promotions, or buy one get one free. Students displays all the students from this agent, past and present, with the most recent at the top. And if you were to double click on one, you'd be taken directly to that student's enrolment. And then finally, we have statistics. If I now click on refresh, what this bottom box is showing you, in this case, for tuition only, but you can choose multiple items, the figures for this particular agent. So in 2013, for example, AA Japan brought in 13 students, totaling 229 weeks, with a value of just under £18,000, which equates to £78.20 per week. And then the same information for 2014, and then the previous years, and the third and the fifth column then give you percentage differences. The box above shows the same details, but from the dates you have selected yourself, so from the beginning of the year until today's date. If you now tick Create Excel and click on Excel Summary, all of this information will be exported into Excel format where you can manipulate it. By clicking on this icon here at the top, we can see all the host families listed, and once more, if we go into a particular accommodation provider, we'll be able to see their basic information, their status, as I just described under agents. Then you have the type, the categories of which you can build up yourself, and you can also view pictures. Under Preferences and Rooms, we have the family likes and dislikes, and at the bottom you can see which rooms are available within this particular host family, the type of room, and also the capacity. If a room is unavailable, maybe because a relative is coming to stay or they are redecorating, you can highlight a particular room, click on Edit, and you can make it unavailable. If the whole house is unavailable, you would click on the unavailability on this screen. This Students tab will show a full history of students that have stayed at the accommodation, and this list can also be exported to Excel, and you can even view a student's full enrolment by double clicking on it. A full payment history made to the family is also available here. The Notes tab under the host families gives a good example of the type of information that can be recorded. You can also record general information such as a profile, which can be used in documents to the agent or student. A history of visits and background checks and dates of utility inspections, etc. can also be recorded in the other fields. The Teacher Browse screen allows you to manage your teacher details, including how many hours per week they are contracted to teach, their preferences of classes, a history of all the classes they have taught, their payment grades, their default timetable, and their availability. Although class is not a payroll system, this teacher functionality, together with the timetabling function, may help you with your payroll. The Course Browse screen lets you manage by course the minimum and maximum number of students per course, the number of lessons, the hours per week, as well as assign default classes and also determine the days of the week that this course is taught. Most schools will of course test their students as soon as they arrive in order to gauge their level of English and place them into the correct classes accordingly. Classing is where you do this and where you can also produce class lists and registers. In the boxes that are already populated, the dates will be defaulted to this week, although you can change them to suit you as I'm doing here. By clicking on Scores, this will list all of the students starting in this particular week. Under TS, which stands for test scores, you can manually enter their scores. Which has then, as you can see here to the right, automatically calculated their level, which is determined again by yourself in the system settings. Now if I click on Classing, you will see a screen that shows the student's gender split, mother tongue, and their average age. And if I now click on Manual Classing, I can move any new students on the left-hand side into the particular classes on the right-hand side. So I'm going to sort all my students by level, and the ones that are greyed out have already been classed. You can place students individually, so Mustafa I'd like to place into Advanced 1, which already has 6 students. So by clicking on Class Students, he has now been placed into that class. But of course, you can highlight multiple students to make this process quicker. If you now wanted to move a student from a class, you would click on Move Student and you will see all of the same classes, but with the number of pupils in each class and their capacity. So for example, in Advanced 1, you can see that this room has a capacity of 14 students and there are currently 7. In Advanced 2, there's a capacity of 14 students and there are currently 6. So what you might want to do is you might want to consolidate all of the students in this particular class into Advanced 1. And you would do that by simply right-clicking and dragging and dropping a student or multiple students into their relevant classes. And once again, you can highlight multiple students to make this process quicker. So all the students from Advanced 2 have now been placed into Advanced 1. Under Reports, you can run a wide variety of reports. So I'm just going to choose a few by way of example and click on Report. So these are more or less fixed, but I will show you in a moment how you are able to do your own. This first report here is one to pin on your notice board. It's your basic student class list, which shows the students which class they're in and in which room that class is being held. The second example in this case is a class list. So this shows all your classes in alphabetical order, together with their location, teacher names, and which students are due to attend. And then finally, we have a register. So this is a weekly timetable for teachers to use as a register. Once a class has run its course and is effectively finished, the student is automatically removed. If you want to design your own report, then you can click on Word Merge, determine the various fields, so which classes, what type of document, and also the date format you're looking at. And here is one I prepared earlier. Class contains two main reporting areas. The reporting module, which includes statistics, and quick reports, where you can design and tailor your own reports. This allows you to produce reports of your own design for a variety of tasks. So for example, arrivals this week, students who have payments due, and students present by course. So in this example, I'll show you the arrivals list. This is an existing report that has already been created, and at the top here you can see who owns the report, to which school the report applies, in this case all of them, how you would like the date filtered, and who you'd like to be able to access this report. In the middle, this is where you choose which information you'd like to see included in the report. So for example, the student surname, enrolment from date, student country code, and so on. And you can add items from a huge list. Under criteria, you can be specific as to what kind of information you want to see. So if you want to see certain agents only, for example, or active booking statuses only. Ticking the include box determines which information you want to see included in your results and your Excel spreadsheets. Results can be reviewed or sent directly to Excel, giving you the full facilities of Excel to edit and format the data according to your own requirements. Whenever you want to run this report, all you need to do is change the date parameters accordingly. It's that easy. I'm now going to click on Search in Excel to show you the results of this particular report. Here are the results within class, and here are the results within Excel. Quick reports can also be used for producing documents in batch, for example, leaving certificates. The other side of reporting can be found under the reporting module. As you can see, there are numerous built-in reports that you can take advantage of, including booking and production, statistics summaries, inquiry conversions, and also English UK statistics. I'll show you two examples here. First of all, the type of marketing statistics that you can produce directly from class. I'm going to tell class that I want to see the figures for the whole of 2014 all the way up to the end of the year. In this case, for tuition only, although you can choose multiple items. Firstly, by course, so price item, and then the second sort field will be the agent country. So essentially, what I'm asking of class is to show me which courses are being sold the most and which agent countries are bringing me the most business. You can use these fields below to be more specific with regards to the course names, or for example, which specific agent countries you're specially interested in. This Excel document now shows me, in column C, the gross of the tuition value, the amount of student weeks, the net value of these weeks, and what that equates to on a weekly basis, and then exactly the same information for last year. So you can compare the 2 years, and columns J and K give you the percentage changes. In the top left-hand corner of the spreadsheet, you can see there are 3 different variations. Number 1 shows you the grand totals. Number 2, the course totals. And finally number 3, which shows a much more detailed breakdown. Many variations of reports can be run this way, and the Excel outcome can always be tailored to suit your needs. Next, I'll show you some course statistics. So if you want to see how many students are on a particular course in any week or month, this is where you would find that information. Now, the layout of these statistical reports is very similar to the quick reports. You give the report a name, you choose the date basis, the period type and periods, and under sorting, which information you're interested in seeing. At the bottom, you can be more specific with regards to schools, agents, territories, student countries, courses, and course groups. If I now click on Excel, this report will now show me which students are in the 6 weeks commencing from the 8th of September, with the total student weeks at the end and at the bottom. Another popular report is deferred sales, which shows you how much money has been invoiced for, so essentially how much you're earning for a particular month or year. In this case, for all Novembers dating back to 2011. Your accountants may ask for this type of information, and CLASS is extremely flexible with regards to the date types you can use, from daily statistics all the way through to annual statistics. Worth mentioning at this point is that we have a fully integrated and very extensive help section within CLASS, which allows you to look up specific areas where you might require further information, accompanied by screenshots. There are also direct links to our online help files, which are regularly updated and increased.